So this video is based on speed variations for different results. For bodybuilding, a lot of people are more worried about time under tension. So you get tempo reps. Tempo is basically like 3 seconds is I think a baseline for tempo. So you maybe do your negative one, two, three, 1, 2, 3 positive. Some people just do it on negative. Some people do both. I believe the negative is more common. And then you got people that do speed variations. Westside Barbell, their principle is actually they do a heavy day and they do a speed day. So that's pretty common in powerlifting also. But their heavy day is not a tempo based thing. So I would also like to add that when you add in supplements, which would be steroids or any form of supplementation that are have steroid anabolic effects, that changes the whole game on how you respond to a lot of this stuff. So some of you may be following top pros, and like I said before, everybody's training should be different based on their own individual goals. Because if you're trying to copy the top guy, you're not him. Genetics are obviously number one, and I'll say it a million times because it's God. Every sport, genetics are God. Barry Sanders was a fucking king in football. He was 5'7" and 200 some pounds. You could drag a 300-pound guy in a football, for 50 yards with the motherfucker on his back. You're not going to do that. You're not built like him. You don't have the tendon strength, and you don't have his parents. So I've told people before, like, you got good genetics. They're like, yeah, I work hard. I thank your fucking parents. I don't talk about my parents a lot or nothing, but thank you, mom and dad, because guess what? My tendons don't want to break. I used to lift like a fucking tard. I used to do a lot of like ruthless shit to my body just to move weight. It's ego lifting, whatever you want to call it. I just got a rush off it. I've always been into this and I always wanted to be strong. So I did all that and I didn't break because of my genetics. Same thing as with how you're going to respond to any form of training. So rep speed, form, all that. And there is a variation on form for growth and strength. So when you watch me bench, you'll see that I bring the weight out and then I lock my shoulders under because I'm trying to have my lats hold the weight. But as in like a bodybuilder, even with the barbell in their hand, they keep their arms over kind of like this, and they want the weight to stretch their pec. I'm not worried about developing pecs. Actually, my pecs are very underdeveloped compared to my shoulders, lats, and triceps. If you look at me, if you compare me to a bodybuilder that benches 400 pounds probably has a much bigger chest than me, probably looks stronger than me also. There's actually a guy in my gym, I would say he actually looks much stronger than me. And not in any way being rude, but I train for strength. And I could probably rep his max for 5 to 7 reps, and we're about the same weight. Maybe I'm a little heavier, but either way, I could still, even if I was the same weight, because of the way we train. Uh, Again, it's still based on genetics, and supplementation changes the game for everything. And that includes the supplements you're taking. So if you're taking a multivitamin, everything changes the game. Even if you're talking about 0.001%, that all adds up. You start adding little variations to anything and tracking your macros, your sleep patterns, time in your training, recovery of all forms changes that. But when it comes down to it for rep speed is more so based on what you want to develop. Speed and velocity equals force along with mass. So mass equals force. So that's the science of it. So yes, if you move bigger weight faster, you should be able to move more. But here's another thing. If you drop, like, let's say you're negative on a bench press, which they brought this up at the last seminar I went to, you're trying to go boom to your chest. It may work when you're at some sub-max levels, but you get to a point where it's your actual true max, the weight actually controls you. And what I mean by controls you is like it takes your body out of balance and your form just breaks down. You don't have any form. Maybe your form sucks in the first place, but if you totally break down, you don't have anything. Same thing with deadlift. Like, you might be able to get some velocity off the ground, but if your hips shoot right up and then they can't come in and you're trying to bring it up with your lower back, you're potentially getting an injury. You're just in a different position. The bar could get too forward. Squat, same thing. You drop too fast. You don't get any stretch at the bottom with your hamstrings. You're just dropping your glutes, take all the load, and then you're coming up and you're trying to put all the force on your back, and you're not getting any stretch reflex from it. So it's kind of a hard thing to answer. Somebody wanted me to go over this, but I would say like if you want to do some tempo days, that's fine. I would do some moderate weight for speed work, but find a happy medium. Do try to move weight fast, but also try to keep control. Because as soon as you lose control, everybody's pretty much discussing the bench press when they ask me any questions. It's the bro lift. That's what everybody cares about the bench. I mean, that's all I cared about in high school. Bench and then eventually deadlift. And now, years later, I finally give a fuck what I squat, which I never gave a fuck what I squatted before. So it's gonna have to vary on the person. Some people have more different types of muscle fibers, so your makeup is different. You know, I might have more slow twitch, you might have more fast twitch. So that's gonna decide how fast you can descend maybe on a squat or how fast you can snap off the ground on a deadlift. If you watch my break of my deadlift, it's very, very fast. You know, I can pull 585 pretty fast. I also can pull 675 pretty fast, but I'm only pulling in the sevens. So, like, that doesn't mean I'm pulling 800 pounds. It's just I have that velocity off the ground. But it might put me in a bad position sometimes. I do have an issue with the lockout, and I've been working on it with my hip hinge, but also I think it changes my position and how fast I snap off the ground because I'm only worried about moving it. So, I'm trying to fix some of my quirks, but yeah, just worry about kind of control more than anything. And the fastest you can move it with control is for strength. Now, if you're trying to grow, the best thing you can do is feel the weight. So I wouldn't say speed specifically. I would say more so control with that at a slower pace. It's all about a pump. Everything's based on goals. So everything's all over the place. This is a very mild touch on it also. I can't do very much for you without directly working with you. I am a CPT. If you'd ever like to get with me for a session and go over any of this, let me know. Have a good day.